Hi guys, Jeff at Slavens Racing. This video is about my 2020 KTM 300 XCW bike build. So about a week ago, Tom Webb from Dirt Bike Magazine contacted me, said he was going to be in Colorado in about a week and wanted to know if he could do an article and a photo shoot on my bike. And at that point I had absolutely done nothing to it. It was box stock. So it was time to hustle it up. And on Friday, I compiled a long list of parts at my store. Took them home that night. Saturday morning, I started the bike build. 10 hours later, it was done, including testing time. So let's start at the front here. So one of the most important things I did to it was in the suspension department. And I know there's going to be guys out there saying, oh, my stock suspension is great. Well, that's compared to what? Compared to what's available? No. Compared to some other bikes, okay. But in stock form, I mean, obviously they're undersprung for me. I'm a good sized guy. But beyond the springs, they just don't, I mean, even when you revalve them and respring them, they just don't have the stability of the XC chassis. And that's what I was after. And by stability, I mean just the precision. You know, they don't, the XC chassis doesn't wiggle and wobble like these do. So when they do that, then it's easy to not hold a precise line, bottom too easily, just get down too low in the travel and spring you back up. And it's kind of hard to explain, but anyhow, I'll start with these forks here. So I put in the Slavens Mule MX Tech Lucky cartridge system. So it's basically all new internals on the forks. And the reason they're called Slavens Mule Luckies is because it's my proprietary valving and pistons in them. And they work amazing in the rocks and the roots. Absolutely amazing. Best forks I've ever had, period, by a long shot. So I'll show you over here. You can see, hopefully you can see it. It's kind of dark there, but different style fork cap. And I've put STR bleeders on there. Those are the only bleeders that actually seal. And when I say seal, I'm talking about on the extension stroke, on the rebound stroke. All the other bleeders suck air in the fork. So I've been testing a lot of front tires this year, and it becomes confusing after a while, so I decided to go back and reestablish a baseline with the M59. I mean, this is still the all-time favorite tire for me and a lot of my riding buddies, pretty much all of them, and a lot of customers. I mean, this is the gold standard for off-road front tires. It's been around forever, still works great. You can also see here, right there, that I've installed the tubeless system. So it's got tubeless front and rear. The front brake is stock for now. I might change that later, I'm not sure. It's got Slavens graphics kit, obviously. Stock headlight. So on the setup of my forks, beyond the valving and the cartridges, is I run a 46 spring on one side and a 48 on the other side. Gives me an effective rate of 47. For me, that's just the perfect rate. I'm 215 without gear, about 240 with gear. You'll notice in here I've got bulletproof radiator guards. It's another gold standard. That is by far the best radiator guard on the planet, period. Gives excellent front protection, excellent side protection, easy to mount, clean, doesn't interfere with anything, works with fan kits, yada yada. Right here you'll see a little two-ride sleeve on the filler neck. I don't know. Looks good. Kind of keeps some of the crud out of there. Not totally sold on it, but sorry, the handlebars are covered because they are prototype bars that I can't show you. I'm sorry. Right there you'll see I run the Midwest lever, the shorty clutch lever. Reduces the clutch pull by 50%. On the other side I run the stock lever. I like the extra leverage of the longer lever in the front. And then I use the Cycra Pro Band hand guards along with the BRP mounts. And these things, these hand guards are longer when you buy them. They look like that. So I cut 40 millimeters off. Otherwise, you can see this thing would be tilted, swiveled back over to here, and then they constantly gouge into your headlight and just kind of make it look like crap over time. So I cut this 40 millimeter piece off with a hacksaw. Then I used a belt sander, a bench mounted belt sander, to dress them up on the ends. You see my Kovco sticker here. If you ride trails in Colorado, I'd really appreciate it if you'd at least join Kovco, if not also donate. They do a lot of great work for us trails in the state. It's got a Cherbys 3.1 gallon fuel tank, which is good for over 100 miles. Here it's got the Slavens TPS guard. So those TPSs, I forget what they are. They're like $250, I believe. So if you fall over, and I brought that piece out because a guy fell over and had a stick jam into that and break it, and he was out of luck for the rest of the day. Had to be towed in. You'll see the adjuster there for the recluse clutch. I'll explain that in just a minute. I've got the Fastway F4 pegs in the low boy position. Now these pegs can be mounted in two different positions depending on how you flip the bushing that comes with them. I run them in the low boy. That puts them about a ½ inch lower and a ½ inch back. Since I'm kind of tall, it really helps open up the compartment for me, the riding compartment. I run the stock gearing 1350, and I run the stock aluminum sprockets. And then when those wear out, I go to a different brand of aluminum sprocket. I've got a lot of different wheel sets. I don't care to have $100 sprockets on every one of them, so I like those. They're nice and light. There I've got the TM Designs GP chain guide. The chain is stock. I run the stock chain until it wears out. There's nothing wrong with the stock chain. Here we've got a Seat Concepts comfort seat. This is the tall. I don't normally run the tall seats. I prefer the standard height. We were just out of the standards when I was doing this build, so I went for the tall. I've got a VE33S IRC on the back. And it's also mounted up with tubeless. I really like the tubeless so that I can vary the tire pressure according to the conditions. Over here, this is the FMF 2.1 turbine core. It's the one that comes through KTM, a black one. I don't really care for the black because they look like hell after a short period of time after you scratch them up, but that's all we had at the time, so that's what I put on. I've got the zip tie racing shark fin on the back. We've got a lot of different shark fins in stock. They're all good. They all get the job done. It's just a matter of what look appeals to you and what price point. KTM factory uses these. It's a really popular one for us, and so that's why I use it. That's not why I use it. I use it because I like the look of it, and it's beefy and works well. On the back here, I run the stock KTM pads, and I run those all the time because they've got the extra insulator on them right here. I like that feature. Now here's the real bomb, the MX Tech Slavens Mule National Shock. Again, this is set up to my specs. I run a progressive spring on it, a PDS 6. If you want to know the rate on that, you can look on our website. All the springs are listed there. This shock is pure magic. So a friend of mine who owns a suspension business here in Colorado recently rode a bike with one of these on. I've been telling him for a long time he needed one. He recently rode one. First thing he called me up, he said, "You cheating, such and such." He says, "That shock is like cheating." And it is. It's absolutely amazing. It's so stable. It does not kick. It puts the power down amazingly well. There's nothing about it that I don't like it other than the price, but of course it'd be nice if it was cheaper, but it's a very high quality billet machine piece. It's not cheesy like the stock shock, and it works exceptionally well. I can't say enough good things about that shock. It's absolutely incredible. You combine that with the Lucky forks, and it totally transforms the bike from a wiggly, wobbly, mushy, harsh stock suspension to everything that you ever dreamed of. It's absolutely amazing. Down here I've got the carbon up clutch cover. I'm sure you've seen my video on that. How I beat the hell out of it with a hammer and it didn't even phase it. Behind that is the Recluse X clutch. And let's see, up here we've got our proprietary Slavens Mule S3 head. And right at the moment I'm running it with the low elevation insert, although I live at high elevation and ride at high elevation. But until I can get a GET ECU on there, I can't really pump up the motor as much as I would like, because it will make it too lean. So, and I'll explain a little more about that in here in just a minute. Down here you can see the AXP Extreme skid plate. Those are 8 millimeters thick, extremely beefy and tough. Slide well over the logs and the rocks. And an FMF fatty pipe is behind this E-line carbon fiber carbon fiber pipe guard, excuse me. So when I first built the motor, I put the head on it, and as I already knew from when I rode it stock that it was way too rich. This thing, the plug was black, the top of the piston was black. It was running very rich in stock form, the way I got it from the dealer. So a customer told me that there was a later map out, so I went down to the dealer, had them load that up. That cleaned it up a lot. Actually, now it's a little on the lean side. So that's why I did not go with the mountain insert in that head for now. Whenever I get the GET ECU, which we expect to have those in 2 to 3 weeks, then I'll work on the mapping and that for high elevations and low elevations and get that ironed out. So that's been kind of the transformation on the engine. So I started out with a totally stock motor and ECU the way it came from the factory. Then I upgraded the ECU with a different map from the dealer. Then I added the head. Then I went out and rode it that way with that stock crinkle pipe. And it had great bottom end, but it was just really lacking in the mid-range and top end. Flat through there. And I know you guys are going to say, well, mine revs just fine through there. Well, no, it doesn't. Yeah, does it rev through the mid-range and into the top end? Yeah, sure. But it takes too long. It's flat. It's not. It doesn't have a lot of bark to it through the mid-range. And when you're wheeling through whoops and that type of stuff, you need that mid-range meat. You got to have a really meaty power band, and the stock ECU just does not deliver that. And I know some clowns are gonna say, oh yeah, Slavens are just trying to sell GET ECUs. No, I'm trying to build a bike that runs right. I've got high standards on this stuff. I don't accept mediocrity, and I want my bikes to run strong. My 2019 is stronger than this with the GET ECU on it and a similar build. So I'll have the GETs out soon, and then I'll do a separate video on that. In there I'm running a BR7EIX Ngk Spark Plug, not a projected tip. I'm going to make a separate video about that. KTM has gone back to just a basic plug, which some of you guys said, oh, it doesn't make it run, they don't run right. Well, they do run right. Let's see what else we've got going on here. I think I'm getting down kind of the bottom of this video here. I always forget things in my videos. So give me just a second here. I think I got it covered on this one. Fan kit, there we go. I've got a separate video on fan kits for these, but this is the Tech Fn3 Fan Kit. I use the harness that goes directly back to the battery. If you just try to plug into the factory harness, it doesn't work out so well. So just wire it like they tell you to wire it, and everything works fine. I set the meter to start running at about 188, 190. That meter right there. So that's when the fan would kick on. The way they come set from Tech is too low, and then the fan runs too much, and it has potential of killing your battery that way. Alright guys, I think that about covers it. I'm leaving this evening. I'm going to go meet Tom Webb from Dirt Rider Magazine, editor-in-chief. I'm going to meet him tomorrow morning in Crested Butte, and we're going to do a couple of days of riding. And then this bike will be in the Dirt Rider Magazine in 2 to 3 months. So keep an eye out for that. And I'll also do some follow-up videos on how this thing runs. And I know a lot of you guys are waiting for me to do a ride video, one of me riding the bike. I really don't like ride videos, but I'm going to do it. Thanks for watching, guys. All the details about this bike, links for all the different parts and pieces and mods will be down below the video in the description section. Also, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and join our YouTube channel. And please help with your trail issues in your area, whether that be donating to the legal access funds, or going out and working on a trail day, or just becoming a good trail ambassador. When you're out on the trails, help promote motorcycling, and do that by staying on the trail. Don't go bushwhacking up a hillside and see if you can climb to the top of some mountain. That's totally illegal in most states. And stay on the trail. Don't don't go around log jams or mud puddles or whatever and make another track. Just stay on the damn trail. So guys, that's all for now. Appreciate you watching.